guys, it's Tara, and I am so excited to be guest designing for My Favorite Things. They are one of my absolute all time favorite stamp companies, and I am so incredibly jazzed to be here. So, I am going to show you today how to create some really fun little bookmarks, planner clips, whatever you want to call them, and incorporate them right into the front of your card so that when you give somebody the card, they not only get a fabulous card, but they get a really useful, handy little keepsake to take with them. So first I'm going to do a couple ink blended panels here just to set the scene for my card. So I'm going to be creating just kind of an outdoor scene. So I have some Tim Holtz watercolor cardstock, and I use some My Favorite Things rectangle dies to cut this big panel out here. And now I'm using my Distress inks just to go ahead and blend a sky here. So I believe I'm using, I want to say Broken China, Tumbled Glass, and what's the other one? Salty Ocean are the blues that I'm using here. I got fingerprints all over this bad boy, but it doesn't even matter because I'm going to do some splattering later, and you're not even going to be able to notice all my crazy fingerprints. So I used some Grassy Hills dies, also from My Favorite Things, to go ahead and cut up some fun little grass hills here. And these I'm going to be blending with Twisted Citron and Mowed Lawn. You can see on this one, I kind of wised up a little bit because I was getting so many fingerprints on the last one that I grabbed a separate piece of paper so that when I'm touching these, I'm not getting my inky fingers all over the place. This cardstock is really fabulous for blending. I mean, it's the Tim Holtz watercolor cardstock, right? So it's kind of meant to go with the Distress inks, and it just like that ink just picks right up off that cardstock. So I was like, okay, I need to quit touching this here. So once I got those all done, I'm going to take my Distress sprayer and just put a little bit of spritzes all over all three of these little panels, and then I'll pick that water up with my paper towel, and now I have a really fun splotchy look for my sky and my grass. I use the Cloud 9 dies to create some really fun clouds to put in the background too. So just like most of us right now, y'all, I am pretty obsessed with this Bitty Bears stamp set. Like, this is so stinking cute. And as soon as I saw it, I knew I wanted to try this project because they're just the perfect size for the little like bookmarks and to fit perfectly on paper clips. So I was like, okay, I'm totally going to do this. So I'm using my Mini Misty to go ahead and stamp these out. This is the first time I've stamped this stamp set. I know, right? Way behind the times here. And so I wanted to make sure that I used my Misty so that I could re-stamp it and get a perfect restamp the second time. And you can see when I do the first one, I have a couple that didn't stamp quite perfectly, but since I'm using my Misty, I can just restamp and they're absolute perfection. So I used my black licorice ink to go ahead and stamp those because it is Copic friendly. And then I'm going to color these adorable little bears using some Copic markers. So this is pretty simple Copic coloring, you guys, and I'm only going to show you one of these little bears because I did not want to bore you to death with the coloring of all four of them. I have been out of the game for a little while. I am super crazy busy right now, and so I hadn't Copic colored in a while, so it actually took me a little bit longer than it probably should have to color these little bears, but it was so like soothing and relaxing. I really miss coloring, you guys. I need to be doing a lot more of that, let me tell you what. So I'm just using some different shades of brown. You can see the different colors that I'm using there off to the side. And then I'm just going back in and I'm re-blending some of the shadows once I get through. And then I'll add a little R22 for the cheeks. So there's all four of those little bears all colored. And then I thought I'd show you some of the red accents that I'm doing on these sweet, sweet little bears. So I wanted to just go ahead and color all those little accessories in red. This card is for my niece. It was her birthday a couple weeks ago. I'm like super behind. And so I wanted to create this card for her, not only because it's stinking adorable, because these bears are adorable, but I thought it would be fun for her to have the little like bookmarks after she got the card, just to have a little something extra. And so I decided to go with the red because I wanted to give her the little like heart balloon because I wanted her to have lots of hugs coming from Auntie Tara. So I said, you know what the hey, I have my reds out. I'm just going to go ahead and color everything in with red and that'll make life easier, right? So then I left those stamps in my Mini Misty, and then when I'm all done coloring, I'll just stamp over the top in black one more time, and they're in the perfect position, and it made those black lines like just extra crispy, just in case I'd gotten my Copic markers over the top of them and doled them out a little bit. So now I'm going to take the coordinating dies for these super stinking cute little bears, and I'm going to cut them out and use one pass of my Big Shot to cut all four of those bad boys out. I'm going to zoom out for you a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. And so now I'm going to use those dies to go ahead and cut two separate pieces so that every single bear has not only the bear, but then two plain white copies for the back. And I'm going to use these when I build my little bookmarks. So it's really handy when you're doing this when you have those coordinating dies, because I don't need to stamp on them. I just need them to be exactly the same size and shape as the little bear. So using the coordinating dies makes that super easy. So now I'm going to start constructing my little bookmarks. You can see I have 3 layers there of the same little bear. So I am going to grab my paper clips, and I'm using my glass cutting mat here so that I can use my little craft knife and not have to worry about cutting into anything. And I will take one of those copies and make 2 little slits in the copy. And then I'm going to go ahead and stick my little paper clip right through the middle there. And this is going to be my middle kind of supporting layer that's going to hold the paper clip in place for me. I decided I wanted it on the other side, so I just flipped it over there. So I just use that, and the reason I put 2 slits is it just keeps it right in place. It's not going to move. It's exactly where I want it to be, and it's nice and sturdy. So now I'm using my ATG gun, but you could use any type of adhesive that you prefer. Just make sure it's a nice, good, strong adhesive. Cover the entire surface of your second white piece, and then go ahead and glue that onto the back. And now you can go ahead and do the exact same thing with your super cute little bitty bear and glue it onto the other side of your little cutout paper clip there. And now you have a really nice sturdy 3-layered bookmark, planner clip, whatever you like. And when you flip it over on the back, it's plain white and you don't see any of the paper clip showing. And I think it's just really fun to do it this way. This is the first time I tried this, but I've had this idea in my head for a little while, and it turned out so great, you guys, and it was super easy to do. I apologize, I'm a little bit out of frame there. I had to get down and dirty and like get my face all in my work while I was doing this. Sometimes that happens to me. I don't know. It's like, I don't have bad eyes, but something about these little cutouts and stuff, sometimes I got to really get right in there. So I'm just repeating the same process. I thought I'd show you a second one just to make sure that I showed you exactly how I did this. And then I'll jump ahead to when I'm all done with the other 2, so that I have 4 of these adorable little paper clips total. And I'm just using like regular big paper clips, like not the super tiny ones, but they aren't like crazy big or anything. They're just fun colors. I found them at a craft store or something. So now I'm going to construct my card a little bit. So I want these bears to kind of appear like they're part of the front of the scene of the card and not necessarily the bookmarks planner clips. So I am going to do this by using these separate panels that I've created for my card and putting some fun little slits in the panels so that the bears can just pop in there and not have to, and they can kind of be hidden behind the grass a little bit. And that way it looks like they're part of the scene. And then later you can just pull them out and you can pop them right back in the scene if you want to. So I am using my craft knife to put a slit right in the sky background. I put my little bear in there, and then I'm going to ATG all over the place. Make sure you don't put any glue behind where that paper clip goes. You don't want your little planner clip to get glued and stuck to your background. So you can see he just slides right in and out of there. Super fun. And then when I put the grass in front of him, it's going to look like he's standing on the hill. I think this is so adorable. I kind of messed up with that second one. I didn't have my grass quite tall enough in front of him, but you know what? It's totally okay. It worked out just fine. And it's kind of good probably that you can see a little bit of the paper clip, just because that way you know that you have a paper clip there instead of it just being part of the card. So for this panel here, I'm going to use some craft foam to pop this up. I forgot that I needed to make an allowance for that other paper clip there. So I ripped off that piece of craft foam. It's totally okay, you guys. You can completely rip something off and fix it if you make a boo-boo. That's part of crafting, right? And then I'm going to stick this first hill right on top of that backdrop. And you can see the bear's little tiny feet at the top, how it's just sitting right on top of the grass. And now for this front panel, which basically just serves the purpose of covering up the paper clips on these first 2 little bears. So I'm just going to put my craft foam there, and then I'll pop that right over, and you can see they look like they're standing in the ground. So much fun, you guys. And then to finish off my scene, I'm just going to add a couple of these little clouds here. And then off camera, I'm going to go in and I'm going to prep my sentiment. I just used a little bit of red cardstock and just white heat embossed my sentiment. I threw on a couple these sparkling clear confetti pieces from Pretty Pink Posh, and of course added some Wink of Stella to the balloon and some white dots to their cheeks. And then I popped that 4th one on the inside just so that my recipient would know that that's what these are and that they can pull the ones off the front too. So you can see how cute that little guy is on the inside. So I think this is a really fun project to do, just a totally different way to use your stamps, just one more way to stretch those gorgeous MFT stamps. Thank you guys so much. I'm so glad to be here. You guys have a fabulous day. Thank you. Bye-bye.